The Chaplin family arrived in Switzerland late in 1952 and moved into a villa in Vevey a month later. Here, Chaplin seemed to find the calm and serenity he had been deprived of in recent years.
Spring's the time for making love.
He quickly reorganized his activities. Feeling fairly isolated, he encouraged his young friend Jerry Epstein, who had been his assistant on Limelight, to join him in Europe. The very morning of his arrival, Chaplin, visibly shaken, informed him of the execution of the Rosenbergs.
One of the greatest peacetime spy dramas in the nation's history reaches its climax as Julius Rosenberg and Morton Sobel, convicted of revealing atomic secrets to the Russians, enter the federal building in New York to hear their doom. It is a stern jurist they face in Judge Irving Kaufman. He sentenced both Rosenbergs to death in the electric chair, and while appeals to the highest courts are planned, it certainly appears that the spies are headed along a one-way street.
Chaplin remained deeply affected by his problems with the United States. His studio and his home in Beverly Hills were sold off, and, as a final insult, Una handed in her passport and gave up her American citizenship. It was here, in this library, that Chaplin would write his film scores and dictate his last screenplays. One day, Michael, her 7-year-old son, homesick for their golden life in California, came into Chaplin's study singing "God Bless America." Jerry remembered how Chaplin began to scream for Una to get the boy out of there. His creative juices were stirring again. To work is to live, and I want to live. Chaplin sought a way of bringing back his tramp character in the body of an old man. He quickly gave up the idea, realizing that what made his tramp work as a character was his walk, his agility, his ability to escape danger through acrobatics. No, he had to find a new character. He briefly entertained the idea of reviving Verdu. Jerry and Una objected immediately. Well then, he said, how about a king? In fact, he had recently met some deposed monarchs at a local reception. One thing intrigued him, the way these kings had of escaping revolutions. For days afterwards, Jerry recalled, we sat on the lawn and I took notes as he improvised ideas and sequences. Where they were leading, he did not know, but he soon had an opening sequence. Chaplin now had the two main elements of his film, the opening scene and the main character. All he had to do now was to put him through trials and tribulations, a good deal of them, which he would overcome one after the other for 90 minutes.
Where is he? He's gone! Where? To the Treasury!
This satiric comedy was entirely set in the United States. Chaplin was highly excited. Still, the screenplay would be 2 years in the writing.
Traitor!
He decided to shoot in London, fairly nervous about working without his old crew. He personally financed the film, and Jerry put the production together. The casting got underway. For the lead female role, he first considered his son Sidney's girlfriend, Kay Kendall. But in the end, Dawn Adams, a British actress engaged to Prince Vittorio Massimo, got the part. A more delicate bit of casting was that of the child who would become the heart of the picture. After a number of screen tests, he cast his son, Michael. Shooting got underway in the spring during a cold wave in the utmost secrecy. It was a closed-set production and off-limits to the press. Chaplin felt uneasy, like a foreigner, far from the friendly working relationships he had established in his Hollywood studio. Back there, the world had been at his feet. If he had a last-minute idea of using a string of sausages or the Eiffel Tower for a gag, he did it immediately. But at Shepperton Studios, he was told it was impossible, that it wasn't provided for in the props list. His relationship with the director of photography, Georges Perinal, was fraught with tension. He criticized Perinal for taking too much time to light scenes. "Turn on all the lights," he would order him. "I have to give a performance. I don't give a goddamn about your artistic effects. It's a comedy. We need light."